Hello again. Hope you're all having a great Easter weekend. Well, today we're going to do a full plot tour, and as always we're going to start in the side yard. In the raised beds I've just set out my shallots for the year. I grow my shallots from seed. They're looking a little bit sorry for themselves, but I've just planted them out. I grow two types, one called Ambition, one called Conserver, and for about the last 3 years they've worked really well for me. I've also got a few spring onions left from last year, and I'm just going to leave them there until I need that bed, and we're still picking them. I've got tons of pots of potatoes all over the place, but we'll take a closer look at those in another video. I've done a couple of carrot beds so far. On the left I'm growing my sweet candles, and I've made this bed kind of Allen at Dawn Chorus style. What I've done is I've sieved a heavier compost down below and then sieved a lighter compost on top of that. But all that sieving, I found it to be hard work, and so on this other bed to the right I've just sieved a lighter compost on top just to get the seeds going. In this bed I am not growing a variety called Nantes, I am growing Nantes. And down below them we have a few more pots of potatoes and of course carrot in a bottle. I don't know about you, but I always get leftover bits stuck all over the garden. I've got some white onions here which I don't have any room for. This looks like garlic that's been sitting in a pot all winter, and I end up just watching it die. If the neighbour comes across I might give it to him, but more than likely I'll be watching it dying. Through the gate and into the entertainment area, which needs a bit of a tidy up before summer comes. This is where I'm going to be growing my peppers this year, and it's going to be a while before I get those out, so I've sown a catch crop of radish. And I have a tray of something I didn't put a label in. They look a bit like turnips, but I'm not too sure. Always remember to stick the label in. I'm growing artichokes or sunchokes for the first time. These were a gift from Deb Garnett. I thought they died, but they appear to be coming through. I'm just going to stick them all in this big bin here and see what happens. And let's take a look in the courtyard and herb garden. The parsley survived the winter okay, and so I just cleaned up the leaves and cut off the dead bits, and that'll be fine for this year. And the thyme got a little bit old, so pulled it all out and we've gone with a couple of new plugs. We have oregano, and again the sage got a little bit old and a little bit stringy, so I've gone with a couple of new sage plants. We have some cilantro and we have some Russian tarragon. Now I pulled all this out, trimmed it back a bit, plonked a little bit back in, because this stuff will go rampant if you don't keep your eye on it. The rosemary plants that we overwintered in the greenhouse have been hacking away at, and they are in need of a growth spurt, but they've come through the winter just fine. Space in the greenhouse is at a premium right now, so things like sweet peas, kale, cauliflower, broccoli, the rhubarb seedlings, onions, leeks, beetroots, turnips, all this stuff can survive outside, and I'll get them in the ground as soon as I get the chance. I emptied out the mint pots a couple of weeks ago and cut all the roots back, which tend to wind round the outside, plonked them back in the middle, and we are good to go. I've got the chicken wire up on the 3 new pea beds, and these were sown in succession over the course of a month, and I'm happy to say that there is no sign of any critter damage whatsoever. On the other hand, the lettuce bed is not faring so well. Something's eating the lettuces, and I fear it may be slugs, so I've set out some beer traps. I appear to have caught a caterpillar. I'm way behind on the lettuces this year. Usually by the beginning of May we're already cutting into them, so I'll probably be picking up some plugs next time I'm in the nursery. We didn't crop any horseradish last year, and the level of the soil on the pot is getting a little bit low, so I'm just going to top this up and just make it look nice. We have a couple of pots of chives. One is your bog standard chive, which has been happily living in this pot for a number of years now, and the other pot is garlic chives. Garlic chives are absolutely delicious with a jacket potato and half a pound of butter. Alright, let's take a look in the greenhouse. The greenhouse is not looking too bad at all. Normally at this time, this place looks like a game of how many people can you fit into a phone box. But the mild weather has allowed me to grow a lot of seedlings outdoors that normally would be in here. The tomatoes and the peppers that I started off on the grow lights inside the house, I've been hardening off in the garage for a couple of days. And then I've been bringing them out to the greenhouse, and at this point I haven't had any casualties. All of the pole beans that we're growing this year are from Save Seed, and I think I sown these 10 days ago, so it's encouraging to see that the heads are popping through already. We're also growing a couple of types of Asian beans this year, and these aren't as quick to fire. These are asparagus and red noodle beans. I've just sown a whole bunch of things like cucumbers, squashes, gourds, pumpkins, that kind of thing. And one of the problems I've had in the past with them is dampening off. And so I've invented myself something. I've got a few seedlings here which are ahead, and so I've placed them inside this tray with a few holes drilled about 1 inch up. And then I've filled it with water. And then I've placed this plasticky thing, I think is the technical term for it, inside the tray just to keep the pots up so as the holes don't block. And the idea is it's going to suck up the water and we can water from the bottom. I've lost many plants in the past to dampening off, so hopefully this will help. I've had the onions out for a couple of weeks now, and I'm growing a few different types: Bedfordshire Champion, Ailsa Craig, Kelsey and Highkeeper. I'm also growing a white onion which will be good for storing. I grew a lot of Brussels last year, and this year I'm not growing any, but I am growing cabbages, cauliflower and broccoli. In some climates, garlic will grow all the way through the winter, but in ours, it does go dormant. Now, I was a little bit concerned because it had broken dormancy when we had a late snowfall, but looking at it now, I think we're going to have another great year for the garlic. I've made myself a dedicated strawberry bed for the first time, and hopefully this will last a few years. I've also got some elephant garlic which I put out earlier in the year. This came from Woody. And we have some rhubarb. Now, I moved these rhubarb crowns at the end of last year from a sunny location into a shadier spot, and the move seems to have worked out well for them. Well, that's the full plot tour as we stand at Easter, and right now I think it's time for a beer. I hope that everybody is enjoying this Easter weekend. Cheers.